Our subject that we're looking for is Les Stroud. He doesn't know the area.
It would be within a mile.
It's a white male adult. Hair is light brown, eyes are hazel. He was going to spend a day up and down Willow Creek and was supposed to come out this morning. He didn't show up.
These are the Sierra Nevadas, and it's classic backpacking country. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people take to the hills for some blood-pumping R&R, a chance to commune with nature, breathe the fresh air, and feel alive. But every year, people push it too far, or they just don't pay attention, and their chance to commune with nature becomes a struggle to survive. I'm on a beautiful, well-established hiking trail, and I've got enough backpacking supplies for a simple overnight in the woods, but that's where the simplicity ends and where my camera crew leaves me to spend the next 7 days out here alone, without food, water, survival gear, or camera crew in the Sierra Nevada.
The Sierra Nevada mountain range is in the state of California, and it stretches 400 miles. Every year, hundreds of thousands of hikers are drawn to the beauty of its peaks and waterways. Many of them never make it out alive. They find themselves getting lost, turned around and confused, succumbing to fatigue and hunger, and some to the bitter cold of the Sierra Nevada's dark, unforgiving nights.
It doesn't get any better than this. This is like parkland. Beautiful.
The wilderness doesn't care whether you live or whether you die. It almost seems benevolent at times like this, but I can never forget that I'm the master of my own fate out here. Becoming complacent can lead to something that turns ugly real quick.
And so ends a pretty typical day of backpacking. Beautiful trails to follow. Cross a few creeks, check out some wildflowers, maybe a few animal tracks. Nature at its best. What could go wrong? For once in a while, you kind of got to pause and look around, wonder if something's watching you. Big cat, black bear. Mosquitoes are coming out. More than I want to see, actually.
By far the best survival shelter I've ever made. So I've decided to be in here as a very classic backpacker. Just coming out for one quick overnight, right? Sleeping bag, tent, and a bit of food. I've got dinner tonight, breakfast tomorrow. That's it. Wasn't planning on a fire, so not set up with pots and things like that. Gone total high tech, I have. It's actually starting to cool down quite a bit. Up here in the Sierra Nevadas, I'm not up that high, but I'm not down that low either. And it can get down to below freezing here for sure at night. And still get snow this time of year.
This should be a good day. Well, the beauty of high-tech camping is that it's lightweight and it's convenient. I'm just not so sure that I can
get used to this camping without a campfire first thing in the morning. But here we go. In goes my breakfast.
Speed and efficiency are the advantages of high-tech gear, but the downside is the sacrifice of self-reliance.
Nothing like having to fiddle with microphones while you're trying to be out in the wilderness. Okay, time to hike out of here. I came prepared for one night of backpacking. I had my night, and it's time to go. But I think I'll take the scenic route. This is easy hiking now.
Getting lost is not something that happens all of a sudden. That may be how you realize it, but in fact, the seeds of your misadventure are usually sown hours before you give in to the reality of your situation. Then, your heart starts to quicken, your pace picks up, sweat beads on your forehead. You stop noticing what's around you. Over and over in your head, you hear the words, "It's gotta be just up there," but it never is.
So this is the worst part. And you think you should be there. You should have been around that next corner, over that bend, and you start to panic. And unfortunately, when you panic, you start moving faster. People get turned around simply walking 200 yards to relieve themselves and can get lost for days after that. You get all frustrated, you're sure it's got to be around here somewhere. Pretty sure you should have been there by now. And instead of moving cautiously and carefully, you kind of get in a panic. People have been through this before. Describe it like there's something chasing you, pushing you onward and onward. I call it bush panic.
The only way to combat panic is to assess the situation. Once you slow down and figure out what you have and what your situation is, that knowledge will give you confidence and calmness.
Okay, first of all, I know I've got basic backpacking gear, so I've got a tent and a sleeping bag. Good. Shelter and warmth, done, covered. I'm out of food. I only had enough food for one night overnight, with the exception the last of my little snacks, which is one peanut butter cup and a small block of cheese. Now I have to decide whether or not I'm going to eat the food all at once, ration it for as long as I'm out here, or use it as bait to catch something bigger. Stuck out here. Sun's going down, so darkness will be here soon. Time to settle in.
In most cases, lost hikers push the first day to the max and only stop and set up camp when they've reluctantly accepted that they're not going home.
All kinds of fur and fluff here. Something was killed and eaten here, likely a deer. The only thing that's going to eat a deer here would be a mountain lion.
It may be a small comfort, but playing guitar or even reading a book can offer a huge advantage at calming the soul in an otherwise panicky situation.
Well, it's morning of the third day. It's only been a day and a half without food, but I forgot just how vivid your dreams become when you aren't eating. I also forgot to mention that the trees up and behind the tent there are the manzanita trees, and that's where, if you're going to get ticks at all, that's where the ticks like to hang out. And the ticks in this area do carry Lyme disease, so I've got to be real careful about that. Make sure that I brush off every night before I climb in. Okay. I need some water and I need some food.
The only way to know for sure if I'm picking an edible wild plant is to spend time in the field with a teacher that knows their stuff. The danger is too great otherwise. Even referencing books, though a great start, is not enough. Just touching the wrong plant can lead to weeks of misery and pain. And when it comes to actually eating something, well, I could kill myself by eating just a teaspoon of the wrong plant.
This is what I'm talking about. This is all miner's lettuce. You just pick it and eat it, and it's delicious. Mmm. It's juicy, too. I'm gonna get some water into my system.
Right from the outset, any nourishment I can get into me will help keep my energy levels up.
Now, I need to watch out for ticks on the manzanita trees, but these flowers are succulent and tasty. They're almost like honeysuckle. The stem is a bit bitter, so you just eat the little flowers. Now, I can eat them this way as I go along. There's a few trees in behind my tent, or I can just gather a whole bunch of this and then soak it in some cool water for about 24 hours. I have a beautiful, healthful, sweet, flavorful drink. And here's a great score all around me here. Check this out. Oh, I can smell the onion already. Oh, yeah. Hang on. All right, so now there's another plant here that looks almost the same. No smell. Can't smell onion at all, but it looks very much like it and has a bulb like it, which could be death camas. Might not be, but it could be. The fact is, they're side by side here. You've got to be really certain. Let's pull one of these onions out. Bon appetit.
Death camas is extremely poisonous.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Even while gathering wild edibles, the need to remain cautious in my travels remains. One slip could change everything.
I've got the manzanita flowers on top that are gonna go into my water, as well as the pine needles. Got some miner's lettuce, oops, and all those onions. I still have the leftover pouch from the boil in a bag meals. I'm gonna put the pine needles in it. But in this drink, I'm also going to put the manzanita flowers to give a nice sweet flavor to the water. Some good old miner's lettuce. It's enough to at least get some nutrition into me. Don't know that it's gonna give me enough energy to do a lot of bushwhacking, but it's way better than nothing. This is all really good. My little bush meal on my guitar plate.
My need for fire in a survival situation, as always, looms heavy. It can give me a huge psychological advantage, but this area is as dry as it gets, and the last thing I want is to start a forest fire. But without matches, all I have is a small LED headlamp.
See if I can get a fire going. Since this has been a day of harvesting, I'm gonna harvest the power from the batteries. 3 AA's to see if I can make a fire. That's where the bulb would go. And I'm gonna just take the wires right off of this piece here. Theoretically, I should be able to attach those 2 wires and perhaps create a hot enough bit of wire to make fire. Now the thing is, I had a little tiny backpacker's first aid kit, and in it was some cotton. So we're gonna give this a shot. Here goes nothing. One piece of cotton batting down on the pile. Comes a lucky battery. Not sure if that's gonna work or not. That's really hot. Getting some smoke. And let that sit. It's very hot. Oh. There we go. I didn't think that was gonna work, but I can't believe it works. An LED flashlight, taking the back off, attaching the wires to each other, and then simply turning it on. And it was hot enough to get that cotton batten to ignite. Ha ha, and I've got fire now.
Any fire created this way is bound to have toxic fumes with the batteries and the plastic caught in the flames. This can't be attempted inside, and I can't allow myself to breathe in any of the chemical smoke.
Well, I call that a good day of survival. Wild edibles and fire. Who'd have thought fire from a flashlight with an LED bulb and a bit of cotton batting, but it works.
A few wild edibles and a fire drastically improved my situation, but real nourishment is needed for survival, and in the end, I'd rather be safe at home.
Good night. Okay, it's day 4.
Time to get some food into my system. Starting to get a little lethargic without the food energy. But I haven't seen much around. You know, you can walk through the forest all you like. You don't actually see that much. You think there's lots of animals out there until you want to catch one. But I've seen some signs of squirrels, so I'm gonna go after some game. Try and get some food into this belly.
All right, this is good. This is a nice find. This old cut stump here is actually the home of a squirrel. Seems fairly active. Now there's a lot of flat rocks around here, so I think I'll sacrifice some of the last bit of cheese I have and the peanut butter cup and see if I can catch myself something bigger. Ordinary parachute cord, right? What I want to do is somehow make it thinner. Peel back from the cut. Here we go. There's the center core. Nice thin strand of line that's going to be perfect for making traps. Now I need one of you. I think what I'll do is a clove hitch. It's my favorite usually is to do a clove hitch because it stays on really well. One little loop, another little loop, and then the second loop goes in behind. That's what's going to go on my snare. Go around like that. And then the stick that goes out. Now I have to set it up. The hardest part about traps and deadfalls is the harder it is for them to set up. The more of a hair trigger they have, the better they are at working. Ow! Oh, I've been here before. That might be the ticket right there. Okay, I'm gonna make this short then. Now that I think I've got it to size, I'm gonna put the bait on it. Now there's a trick to putting bait on these things. Smear the bait on there so it's actually part of the wood. And that way, the squirrel or the mouse has to work hard to get what it thinks is the food, and will hopefully dislodge the trigger. And I've got a little bit of the quickly turning horribly hard block of cheese. And there's my bait all squished on there. Whew. All right, here we go. Classic Paiute deadfall. All I want that squirrel to do is to come in here and touch on this bait right here. If he goes for that bait, and the whole thing should go down, I should have myself dinner. Okay, that's one. I'm gonna set up 3 or 4 more of these.
The great weather has made me forgetful of how quickly things can change.
Okay, it is coming on to rain, so I should have prepared for this before. I'm gonna shove some dry material in underneath the tent here, just to protect it. Ouch. Big punky pieces of wood right by the fire, ready to put on top of it if it does come on to rain a lot. I don't want to put it on until it's really raining, because if I put it on now, everything is still way too dry anyway, and I'll just have an inferno on my hand and probably start a forest fire.
Foolishly, I've been lulled in by the good weather, and I'm now paying the price as I'm not prepared for the approach of rain.
One thing's for sure though, in a pouring rain, the bigger the fire you have, the more likely it's going to stay going, even in a hard downpour. I've used it many times. Had a 6-foot fire going to keep me warm in the winter, wet snow, freezing rain, blizzards, and get a bigger fire going, stays going through the storm. Here, it's tricky because there's so much pine needle duff all around me here that one ember could shoot this whole forest up into a big forest fire. So as much as I want to keep my fire going, I've got to be careful until it really comes on to rain, and then I'll be a lot safer. But right now, everything's still dry. All right, here it comes, starting to come down. Put the log on. Getting real windy too. Hopefully no heavy branches will come down on me. That could be bad. Well, I wait for morning, I guess.
Well, it didn't rain all night and it didn't pour hard, so I checked the fire a couple of times, and that trick worked fantastically. The punky log kept it going all night, and the sun is shining, so I better get up.
Just gonna do a little fire preparation here. Make myself what's called an Apache Match. Shred this up so it's good and fluffy. Essentially, an Apache Match is a fire bundle, a way of transporting a coal over long distances or having a coal smolder over a long period of time. So this is just some slabs of cedar bark. The next layer I've broken up a bit, but not a lot. I wanted it to be sort of fibery. In the middle of all of that is all of my fine powdered stuff. So this goes on top. I just gotta tie it up. Create a little hole there and shove in all the rest of my fine shredded bark. How well this thing burns depends on how tight you have the string. You have to loosen it sometimes so that, or pull it back a bit so that the coal will keep smoldering in there. Okay, there we go. My big Apache cigar. I'll call it the Apache cigar.
It's time to head back across the stream and see if my traps have been working for me.
No luck here at this one. I'll come back. One thing I haven't done yet is I'll drop a little bit of that peanut butter bait all around here just to entice them in. That's a real shame. Oh, and I should know better. Look at that. The trap has actually been set. See? That's just dangling. Here's the bait stick with no bait on it. But you can see the stick was just underneath the rock too much, and so when the rock when that stick was pulled out, this main stick here stopped the rock from flattening down on the animal. So good sign though that there's an animal here and that he took the bait. I'm gonna have to come back and reset that trap, put some more bait on it and spread some bait around. But something's in the area, obviously. Something came in and went for it, got my bait. Well, I'm gonna try something that you definitely won't find in the books. I'm gonna see if I can make a different kind of trap using my guitar. All right, so I also have, left over from that first night of camping, some duct tape. Actually, it came with the camera equipment. A little bit left of that flattened and melted peanut butter cup. Let's see what can happen here. If I put this like this, and I can get the animal to go down into this tube, then hopefully the squirrel or the mouse will not be able to jump out. Okay. What do you think? Mouse goes in, can't come out.
I doubt that a squirrel would get stuck in this trap, but it is likely that a few mice will make their way in and not out.
All that's needed right now is some bait around here and the bait down into the guitar. And for that, I'm going to use that peanut butter cup, or what's left of it. A few little drops here and there, and then the rest goes down in the hole. Here we go. I gotta say, this is a first. I don't think anyone's ever made a guitar trap before.
Adaptability and ingenuity. Changing how you look at something can make the difference between surviving or not surviving.
This log has been kept flat over the years. It's great. Makes it easy to cross this creek every single day.
Once my traps are set, I have to take the time to get out and check them as often as possible. If something gets caught and I'm not there to take it, then a large predator can easily take it out from under the trap and have themselves a meal.
Nothing there either. Nothing's even been moved. All right, this beautiful area here, it's a place called Willow Creek, and I'm at the top of an area called Devil's Slide. Instead of walking out on day 7, I'm gonna bring in the local search and rescue. They've got to try and find me, because I'm gonna take a 24-hour head start right now, and I'm heading that way, in the thick of the bush. The direction I've decided to head is uphill all the way, at least for today. Now, I know there's been recent mountain lion sightings in this area, and not all that far away there was an attack. So, you know, I'm a lone person walking in the bush. I'll keep my eyes open, but for the most part, especially with me talking to you, that noise is going to scare them away, as well as black bears or anything like that. So, it's about walking with confidence. So I've got a full backpack on and a heavy walk, so that should be fine. All right, uphill we are.
I've left behind everything but one camera, tripod, and my jacket. Moving locations and taking my life into my own hands. One slip, one poke in the eye, or an encounter with a dangerous animal, and my chances of survival are radically reduced. There's no safety net at this point. Communication is often cut off by areas of thick bush.
Ooh, it's getting thick. Shoot. Okay, officially down on my hands and knees, crawling. I took the fire bundle and found a way to strap it onto my pack so that it'll keep smoldering, I hope. Normally I do my 7 days and I survive in jungles and deserts and all over the place and I get out of there. But this time, they really have to find me because I'm intentionally getting lost way out here. Very steep. Shady spot to sit down. Okay. Oh boy, I'm probably not even maybe halfway. There's the view across. See that? So I'm probably about here. I still gotta go up there, but in this direction behind you. Now, if anything goes wrong here now, my safety net's just been dropped. I've got a communication system, but it's hard to reach anybody out of this thick bush. And if I snap an ankle, which you can see is easy to do, climbing like this, if I got attacked by a mountain lion, if I had an appendicitis attack, I'm in some serious trouble here. It's more than just a TV show at this moment.
I'm able to climb so vigorously, I think now, only due to the fact that I have an adrenaline rush, knowing that the search and rescue crew will be looking for me today.
Okay, I've made it to pretty high up now. I can see the big bald face from here, too.
There are going to be at least 35 SAR personnel looking for me, but it's in an area 4,000 square hectares in size.
I'm actually crawling on my belly. I've got to pay a little more attention to watching out for rattlesnakes now that I'm up in the rocks here. Especially in the heat of the day, they'll be just underneath the shade of the rock. I'll watch where I start putting my hands and feet. Oh, but my God, is this beautiful. This is why people climb. Views like this.
I'm just gonna walk around and enjoy the sights and get my sweat to dry off. It's beautiful up here. Becoming hypothermic on the top of a mountain would make for a miserable night.
I have a feeling it's gonna be chilly up here tonight. Oh yeah, that worked like a charm. 3 or 4 hours later and my little fire cigar here worked out perfect. My Apache cigar. So that's it. This is night number 6, and tomorrow, search and rescue tries to find me somewhere out there. I'm just gonna start hiking. Sierra Nevada. Pretty intense and beautiful place. That ought to keep away the mountain lions. By the time of things, I believe that a search has probably already started for me. So I'm going to take myself off of this top exposed vista here and get down into the thick of it. See if they're able to find me down low and in the thick bush. All right, so here's the situation. In the morning, the call will go out and the searchers will all meet at the base camp. They'll be given information, how many people they're looking for, state of health, my age, what condition I'm in. At that point, the first thing that happens is the hasty crew goes out, and they'll do a very fast search of the LKP, the last known position, to see if there's any sign of me at all, to see if the lost hiker is down and injured, because a lot of times they're not far at all from their LKP. There'll be teams on horseback, ATV, teams with dogs, teams in jeeps. There'll be teams on foot. And then lastly, we've got a chopper in the air. Now the chopper in the air is going to try and film the whole situation. This might be a special exercise with me in mind that I've done to see what else we can throw into the reality of being lost out here. But the search and rescue crew take it very seriously, because the next time could be for real. It could be a lost child out here, lost husband, lost wife, anybody. It could be an injured person. And they've got a lot of situations they have to deal with it. What if it could be an autistic child that refuses to answer calls? It could be someone who's on the run, like a teenager who's on a runaway. It's not always the classic hiker who wants to be found.
Bear in mind, we had a fatality April of last year at Angel Falls. This is dangerous country.
I'll tell you, my hat's off to them if they can find me out here.
A lion was spotted over off of Sky Ranch Road. Guys with the dogs, be cognizant of that especially. We can't help him if we get hurt.
I'm a hiker, out for an overnight. I see the vista in the distance. What a nice climb that would make. Climb up to the top. I'll spend my night up here, spend the night up on the vista. Next day, heading out, let's go out a different direction. And then I'm gonna get stuck. Snap an ankle, that's all it would take. And you're stuck in a place where you weren't planning on going originally and nobody knew you were going originally. And that's where search and rescue has to come in.
Guys, we're gonna be working around Willow Creek and out from there. A lot of you have worked down in that area. You know it's pretty rugged country. It's pretty dangerous stuff down there.
It can be very panicky, you know, when you're in spots that are real thick and you're getting scratched and your face is getting scratched and your arms are getting chewed up. And you come to an opening, it's just like this, this breath of fresh air. Okay, and you get this little moment of safety, of sanity, where you've got some clearing, you can see the sky again, and you don't feel so claustrophobic, so closed in. So they help. It's amazing what little things help you psychologically in very big ways when you're lost.
The obstacles to a lost hiker are many, and none of them should be taken lightly or underestimated.
Well, I don't want to understate this. This is slick rock country, and when that rock gets wet, you fall, you slip very easily. People die here every single year in this area on these creeks. I know, it doesn't look like much on your TV screen. But let me tell you, when you're completely alone out here, it's still a chance to take. All it would take would be a little slip of the foot. You only need a few inches of water to knock down a full-grown man if it's slippery underneath and the current's strong enough. So I've got to be real careful going across here. And I think I'm going to keep walking upstream until I find something a little safer. It's funny, it's been probably a few hours since the search has been underway, and I haven't even heard the chopper, not once.
Finding a lost hiker out here has always been described as being like finding a needle in a haystack, for good reason.
Whoa! I hear the chopper. Okay. How can I get out to where? Okay, see, now I'm on the wrong side of the stream. I'm in the dark spot here. But now this is a bad thing because this means I'm rushing. Okay, regardless of the panic of the helicopter, gotta slow down, get to your Zen state, and do something like this properly, carefully. Okay, got myself a pole. Yep, rocks are slippery. Okay, that takes me part of the way. Looking for the shallow spots. Gotta lean upstream into the water, face upstream. Ooh, that's cool. Get to the nether regions. All right. Soaking wet now, but that's one stream crossed. In a very safe location, really. No issues getting across there at all, other than the fact that it was really cold, and now I'm soaking wet. And I've missed the chopper. I'm gonna go and try and get into that open area, see if I can signal him in. Hopefully he'll come back over. When you're in a survival situation, you've got to be as cautious as possible. Take the safe route always. Don't run, don't jump, don't take chances. All right, I'm over the worst of the streams. I've got a small one I think I still have to cross. And I'm out in the open, so with any luck at all, the chopper will find me out here. I hit the chopper again. Let me get the mirror out real quick here. Okay, I'm flashing him. I'm aiming this flash right on that chopper. All right, well, I don't think he saw me. I flashed it right on him. I flashed him good. See, what happens is when a plane or a chopper is directly overhead of you, the pilot, he can't look out his window and see straight down. They're looking off on an angle, and so what's right underneath them is often the hardest for them to find. Okay, here they come again. Oh, there he is. This should be a good angle. Okay, I'm flashing them. I'm flashing the heck out of them. Okay, wide in the open, there we go. Flash, 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 flash. Up and down. I can see them clearly. They're in a big open patch for me. This is good. I think they spotted me. Are you okay?
Definitely going for attention.
Excellent. Rescue. There you go. That's perfect. But again, he can't come down here to get me. So now what's got to happen is the ground crew has to get to me, either mounted or canine or on foot. And it's still very rough terrain. I could be laying here with a broken leg or a broken back, who knows? They don't know what to expect until they get on the ground and they get to me. quite an operation.
Okay, what's important now is that I stay put. I don't want to start thinking, okay, I'm going to try and make it for that little trail that I'm sure was just around the corner because they've spotted me. That means they know I'm here. I can start moving it again. It's completely the wrong thing. It's a big mistake. Now's the time for me to stay put and wait for the ground crew to get here. They've spotted me. They've notified me from the air. They've let me know, okay, we see you. We've got you. They radio this location in, and the ground crew will make its way here. If I move from here, I just make it harder for everybody. So I'll stay put and wait for them to come.
We're now 5/10 of a mile from the subject. The road is not passable by vehicles, so we're going to start walking down the road towards the subject.
Les! Les!
Oh! Oh! Here they come. That's great. That's great. Man, imagine being totally lost out here and that's what you hear. You hear that voice in the distance, somebody going, ho! Even, I'm doing this. I'm making this happen and I feel excited that they found me. That was fast. That is good search and rescue.
Girl!
Even with this much control of the situation, even with this many trained individuals involved, a search and rescue operation can go horribly wrong with a simple twist of fate.
Good. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too.
All right, gentlemen. Let's go eat.
The way to survival, whether you're the victim or the rescuer, is through the path of methodical caution, a calming of the spirit and mind, and careful planning of your every move. Courage is facing the challenge with a healthy fear, not being fearless. More than anything else, making it through a horrendous ordeal requires the will to live, if you expect to survive.
Wow, your crew's awesome. That was fast. That was good. I went in thick. I paid no mercy to it. So I went into the vista on the first night, and then just thought, well, I'm going to go down into the creek where it's thickest the second time. And I was timing things, and I don't know when you guys started, but